Hi FlexTube, it's Diane. Today is January 15th, 2024. Happy New Year. Thought I'd do an update video. I'd mentioned my plans. I was going to start a certain piece. I did not, and I'll explain why. But before we do that, I'm going to show the finish that I have. This is on 40 count flax. It is This Is the Day by Plum Street, and here it is. So yeah, it is showing up. The goats are showing up and the smoke. I wasn't quite sure if in real life they show up. I wasn't sure if they'd show up on video in the little spots around the sun. This is one strand over 2 threads. I did not necessarily use the called for. If I had the called for, I used it. But for this brown is supposed to be hickory sticks, I used Fiberlicious Moss, M-O-S-S. I did not use grits. I used 3865, and there were 2 other colors I switched out, and I don't have them in here with me. I think I still have the pattern out there in my stitching area. But I did use the mint julep. That's that turquoisey color. I used the pink mortar. That's the called for. I think it was one of the deep reds. I used ruby slippers instead of cherry cobbler, I think is the other called for. But there were 3 over dyes I subbed out from my collection because I didn't have what was called for. And then instead of grits, I used 3865. So that's just kind of my light fading in and out there. The house is no joke. Took a while, but it is done. My plan is eventually to frame it. But I have the next one, the one with the church. This is Joy or something along that line. And I want them in the same type of frame. So let me put this back up here. I want them in the same type of frame, so I'll wait till I have both of them done because they're on the same fabric, that 40 count flax. My other piece that I've been working on is this one, Sunshine and Blooms by Teresa Kogut. This was an exclusive at the Stitching in the Wild Retreat 2023. At some point it'll be released to everybody. So right now, to my knowledge, it's not available. It could be released at market. I don't know. It's up to Teresa. But it was an exclusive to that retreat in May of 2023. And here's where I'm at. This is 40 count XJude Designs Grandma's Slip, which I think is the called for. Let me look and see if it's the called for. Does not say on the outside of the pattern. I think it is the called for. And this is a computer generated image here. So mine does look different. Mine, I am using the called for colors. Yeah, here it is. 40 count Grandma Slip by XJude Designs. And I'm pretty sure that's what is called for. I don't see anything on here that says otherwise. But I bought the fabric, the fibers, the pattern obviously at the retreat, and I started it at the retreat. Last time I showed it, I had like the outline here and the stem, but I've been able to add maybe a leaf or 2. I've been able to add all of these leaves, these flowers, the words. I have more words to add. Oh, I'm filling in the basket. So I'm going to, that's a DMC color that's called for. I'm going to put one strand in, do some other stuff, one strand in, do some other stuff. The pattern goes down to here, and this is as wide as it is, and it goes down to about here. So I have enough down here of this fabric, which is the first time I've stitched on XJude design fabric. Very, very nice fabric to stitch on. I do not think Stitchville carries XJude designs, but they keep adding fabric dyers, so it's possible they do. I know Joann carries it, and I'm not sure what other shops carry XJude designs beside ordering directly from her. If I remember correctly, she lives in Hungary. I could be wrong on that, but I will be getting more of her fabrics in the future. I've been looking at them for a while, so it's nice to try them out. So those are the two pieces that I've been stitching. I wanted, or I had planned, I should say, to start Lila Studios. I have a friend named Lila, so Lila Studios Summer Quaker. I planned on starting that on or around the 1st of the year. Didn't happen. On the 28th of December, I decided, you know what, I'm going to take down my Christmas stuff. I'm going to reorganize some furniture in the living room, get it set up for homeschool, and then I'm going to just spend the next few days sewing or organizing or just chilling. Got a call from my mom that night that my grandma had passed away. My grandma was 99 and a half when she passed away. She's had dementia the last few years. So it's one of those calls you expect, but you still, it's hard when you hear it. So the question was, do I drive out there? It's 570 miles one way from here to Rapid City. And this time of year, across the prairie, that's not, if you've lived in this area of the country, you totally understand. Or if you live in open country where there's nothing to stop the wind, you get what I'm talking about. When the funeral arrangements were announced, I let my husband know, and he said, well, we can get you a rental car and you can go out, you know, and hang out with your mom and dad for a few days and then come back. So I said, okay, I'm gonna just pray and think about it overnight. I'd let him know in the morning, and in the morning I decided to go. I had checked the weather here at home. I had checked the weather in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, because they have the weirdest weather imaginable. One year I drove my sons out there. They were going to help my parents with a project, and then my parents were driving them back. And in Sioux Falls, from the Minnesota, South Dakota state line to the west side of Sioux Falls, along I-90. We had snow, rain, hail, sleet, high winds, fog, lightning, ice on the road, so it's a little slippery, and something else. Just kind of everything you could think of weather, boom, right there. And then it was fine everywhere else. So I checked Sioux Falls weather, I checked Rapid City weather, and decided, yes, I was going to go. So on New Year's Day, my husband and I drove down to MSP Airport, picked up a rental because other rental places were closed for New Year's Day. And then on the 2nd, I drove out. It was a little frosty in the morning, but it wasn't horrible. It was, 30s, 40s during the day. A lot of sun until I hit Chamberlain. South Dakota is divided in half, approximately half, by the Missouri River. So East River, they had no snow, or maybe a patch here and there. Minnesota had no snow at the time. But the roads were all clear. And then you get to Chamberlain, and you go West River toward Rapid City. They had drifts, and I hit fog from Chamberlain to almost the Badlands, almost 150, 200 miles of fog. Which, yeah, the prairie is not exciting to look at, but trust me, when you're just fog, and it was thick fog, so I had to slow down. It's 80 miles an hour on the interstate through South Dakota on I-90. I assume it's that way, I-29. It's been a long time since I've driven I-29, but I was in the 70s, but the roads were completely dry, and it's pretty much a straight road. Got to Rapid. It was all sunny, nice. Got to my parents, and Larry ran up. He heard my voice and he ran up and he let me pet him. Larry is my parents' cat. And so I brought my stuff in and kind of settled down. Mom and I were chatting, and Dad came in and we're chatting, and Larry kept going to the front window and looking at the rental. And he'd look at me. Then he'd go back. Then he'd go to the stairs. We figured out he's like, you don't come here by yourself. You know, where is my entourage? Because Larry loves kids. And when we visited them in September, he would walk in front of Mini Dot and just flop down. Okay, you can pet me now. And we've trained our kids, when Larry's had enough and he gets up and he walks away and goes to wherever his safety places are, you let him be. You could say hi to him, but you just let him be. And so he couldn't figure out why I was there by myself. Then the third was the funeral. Excuse me, I need a drink of water. It's really dry today. But the funeral was that morning. And then for lunch, 2 of my aunts and 3 of my uncles came, and 2 of my cousins, and including the uncle that I stitched the memorial piece for my aunt. Yeah, he was one of them. We just had a nice lunch, just chatted about football and American football and a little politics, but mostly football and weather and just stuff. And then my uncle left and his son left, and then a little while later my aunt and uncle, they had an appointment, they left. And so then my other aunt and uncle and cousin, we sat around, chatted, and then they left. And then my parents and I, we just kind of chilled. And the next morning I got up, and again Larry met me at the top of the stairs, and he kept looking down the stairs because my parents, they have kind of a split entry. You probably call it a multi-level in today's terms. I kept looking for the kids, and he's like, where are they? Where are they? He loves kids. Larry is so good with kids. He was a rescue that my parents, they had lost their cat Mittens prior, and then they're like, well, we're not getting another cat. And then one day they said, well, or maybe my mom, as a quilter, they'll make little beds for the Humane Society of, you know, scraps of batting and that kind of stuff. So maybe she dropped some of those off, and they looked at the cats, and Larry, you know, with a person's permission, he opened the cage, and Larry came up and just curled around my dad's neck and started purring. And he's like, yeah, I guess we're going home with him. And he's a very good cat. But yeah, he's like, where is everybody? I don't get it. Where are they? And my dad and I talked for a while, and then while we were making breakfast, and then my mom and I, we ended up going to the quilt shop in Rapid, and I picked up this pattern by Elizabeth Hartman. It's called the Bunny Bunch. I'm trying to get it so it's not glaring, because I haven't opened the package yet. I've been looking at this pattern for a while, and so I thought this would be cute on my wall in like spring, summer. I love the plaids and the little overalls. And so I can make a however wide I want. They give you 2 sizes here. They also give you a little baby bunny here. My mom bought the same pattern. She makes a lot of quilts for charities, and these are pieced. They're not appliqued. My mom really likes applique. I'm not 100% sold on applique. I got to work on it, but these are 100% pieced. So I've been looking at this for a while, so I picked it up. This one, called Tea Party by Flamingo Toes, is the name of the quilt company. And this one calls for 24 fat quarters. Then you have the sashing in the background. So if I got the background, which I have some, but I don't know if I have 4.5 yards. That I might not have. And scallop, I could use whatever scraps I have for all the teacups and teapots and everything. So that would be fun, a summery type of quilt. Also this project bag. So these are the project bags I like to make. These. But I have some mesh, and so this, the back is quilted, and it's roughly the size of this, or maybe even the size of the paper. It could be a little bit smaller. So it looks really small. It looks like it's this size pouch, but it's not. And the back is quilted, and then you have a mesh and a zipper. So I picked up that pattern. Peacekeeper project bag. This is by Annie.com. Annie.com. So yeah, and there's a lot to this pattern, so if you try and break copyright, that's on you. And this one by Joann Hoffman, the Quilting Bee. Yes, it is a round quilt, and yes, there's a frame you could buy that keeps the round shape. It's roughly 42 inches across. I have, yeah, 42 inches in diameter. I have another one of her patterns that I bought as a whole kit. It's I should have gotten it out. It's a feather. It has 4 feathers and then a kind of a star in the middle. She has one called Tatanka. So it's bison and teepees, and it's just gorgeous. The blues are just beautiful, and the trees. And this, you could see the quilting is like, I think the quilting makes these hexagons. It's not the fabric itself. But it's just beautiful. They didn't have this one as a sample. They had the Tatanka as a sample. She lives in the Black Hills area, so I thought, I'm in the Black Hills. So I picked that up. Oh, I picked up some fabric for, they had some fabric on clearance, so I found some there. And then my daughter, baby Tan, her quilt I found some fabric for. And, whoops, I was thinking about it. Do I want to stitch a piece for my grandma in memory of her? And we're all flawed individuals, and grandma had her faults. But as my brother said, you know, she always loved us. So she always loved us. So I wasn't sure what piece to look at getting. And I thought, well, maybe the Blooming Bouquets, because I did number 2 for my aunt, another one in that series. So I went online and I just typed in cross stitch Louise or something along that line, because my grandmother's name was Louise. And this came up, In Memory of Louise by Cross Stitch Antiques. There's a lot of flowers and a bird. Grandma loved birds. She loved flowers. She could pick up a twig off the ground and make a big, beautiful plant. I did not get that gene. Yeah, although I have kept a houseplant alive for more than 5 years now, which is a miracle in of itself. There's kittens, deer, swan. Is that the rooster? No, that's a swan. Apparently this was Berlin woolwork from Germany, and my grandmother was half Norwegian, half German. 2 deer, a swan, 2 butterflies. I forgot the butterflies. The butterflies are right here and here. 2 kittens, a tiny dog, and a rooster proudly displaying his wings. So this is the rooster, that bird. Oh, and the dog is like right in here. So this is the rooster. So this is not a huge sampler. It is 142 by 153. So roughly 16 by 16-ish, 17 by 17, right in there. Well, at least on 40 count. or actually she says, the original was 17.5 inches wide by 19 inches wide on 16 count canvas over 2. Wow. But her sample is on 40 count. So I'm not sure if I'm going to say in memory of, then put her name Louise Alice and her dates. I want to incorporate my grandpa in here somewhere. And he passed away in 2001. So I want to incorporate that in here. I want to personalize this like I personalized the other one. This is charted for 100.3s and DMC. Although, do check out her website if you have any of her patterns. She has a corrections tab. And this particular pattern, one of the colors is being discontinued in the 103s. And another pattern that I own of hers, there was a correction. So before you start a project, check the designer's website for any kind of corrections if you want to do it exactly as charted. Yeah, so this one, I went through my 103s. I only had 2 of them, and there's, let's see, 4, 8, 12, 16, 22. Although if I'm not going to do the words. No, I do want the name on there, though. Anyway, so I need 20 more, 19, 20 more. What I've decided to do is Grandma would have turned 100 on May 19th, 2024. So that's why I'm going to start this one, right around that time. I do have a grad the first weekend in May. We're doing his open house later in the year because he's turning 18 in August. So we're going to push it that way. So around her birthday, I want to start this one. So between now and then, I'm going to find the other silks. And I haven't decided, because I need to see the silks, if I want to stitch this on 40 count Affogato by Fiber on a Whim, or 40 count, both of these are 40 counts, 40 count Cyprium by Picture This Plus, right? Yeah, this is Picture This Plus. So I'm not sure. This with all of these really light colors, they might pop. But I need to pull, get all the other silks. And then I'm going to start that on or around Grandma's birthday in honor of her 100th birthday. And then I'll personalize it. Louise Alice is her name, and then I'll put Grandpa's name and their marriage somewhere in there. I'll figure that out when I get that far. But I purchased the pattern. I contacted Gary from Garan Stitchery before I left for the funeral and said, well, I'll be back here. So if it comes in, I have to wait. And it came in. It was there probably the day I actually got back on the that Saturday, the 6th. I think that he emailed me and said, hey, it's in, type of thing. Well, no pattern can travel alone. So I picked up Lila Studios Autumn Quaker. I know it says autumn is as joyful. This is the Autumn Quaker. That's what I'm calling it. To my knowledge, she has not done the Winter Quaker, and that's the one that we're all waiting for. But this is charted for DMCs, and I stitched the Spring Quaker in DMCs. I have the Summer Quaker kitted in the DMCs and the Autumn. I will be stitching the Summer Quaker on the same fabric that I stitched the Spring Quaker, 40 count Antique Country Mocha. I haven't decided on this one because I got to get that other one done first. And I haven't started it, so. The Spring Quaker was so much fun to stitch. Then for Christmas, my husband gifted me a gift certificate to quilting store near me, and they're doing a quilt a quarter in 2024. So every month for, it's like $35, or maybe it's 30, because I could pick it up. You're going to get all the fabric you need. But so for January, February, March, you're working on the same quilt, and this is the quilt. This one, Amber Abundance quilt. And so this has the fabrics to get started. I just have not had time to start. And in February, I'll get, another part, and then March, I'll get another part. And then for April, May, June, it's a different quilt, which I know I don't have the piece of paper with me. She has not picked for July, August, September, or October, November, December yet, because just as new patterns are coming in the cross-stitching world, new fabrics are coming into the quilting world. So she's going to wait to see and then pick a quilt for that. So I picked that up. That's all I have for today. My plan, WhipGo 2024, both of my numbers for January were samplers. So I finished the one, and that one is 50% done. And I'm going to finish that one. So my WhipGo numbers are already complete, because I'm going to do 5 days on each project, which for me a day is 2 hours. And then I have the Heartstring Samplery, the Float and Sting she did with Plum Street last year. I don't remember which of the two patterns. I have both patterns and they're both kitted, but I don't remember which one was Heartstring and which one was Plum Street. But I do plan on stitching those in February. And then my WhipGo numbers, I'll see what those are when Jessie Marie calls them on the 25th. And see what they are. That is my plan at the moment, which could always change, because to be honest, I really haven't gotten into my 2024 mindset yet. I'm writing 2024 when I need to write it down. I usually don't go back a year until about June, and all of a sudden I'll write the year before. It's like, why? Anyway, that is my plan at the moment. And yeah, I haven't had a chance to, I did want to show one more thing. I have not had a chance to really play with my fabric frame, my quilting frame. I haven't had a chance to do that. Well, someday I'll have a set place for my stuff, but today is not that day. So my mom, while I was out there, she gave me this ornament. This is an ornament that my grandma made years ago. She made one, we had 5 children at the time, and she made one for each of or 4 children at the time. No, Logan has one. So 5 children, and she made them each an ornament. And then she made Shannon and I an ornament, and then she had made this other one too. So I have that, and then you're talking with my mom, we said, it's just weird because we're used to being interrupted by the kids. But we talked for days and days and days, which was good. And this is one thing that she gifted to me. It's glass ornament. And this is not too strong, so I'm going to glue that on. I'm not going to hang this on my tree next year, but I have a little thing you could set and you could hang an ornament off of. That's what I'm going to put it on. When I was born, my other grandma, so I had 3 grandmas, and because I'm adopted, but my biological father's mom, after I was born, she told my mom to select an ornament off of her tree for me. And so this is the one my mom chose. So I have another ornament that goes on my tree every year that we purchased when I was 5. So this one's older than that. But my mom gifted me that. said she's been meaning to give it to me, and here was the opportunity. So I wanted to show those. So my biological dad's mom, my biological father's mom, let me put it that way, my biological mother's mom, and my grandma Dee. She was a fun lady, fun lady. So my dad's mom, she was such a fun lady. But even though I wasn't her biological granddaughter, she better not hear you say that. She's 5'2", but yay big around. But you do not disrespect her granddaughter. No, Grandma would not tolerate that. She was a ball of fire, that's for sure. But I wanted to show that also. And oh, I picked up some thread at the quilt shop. They had a special that day. Although, because it's such a big cone, I'm going to have to rig up something on my machine. Because I use kind of a cream color and this is a gray color. So it can be universal. Instead of switching colors out all the time. But that is all I have for you today. And I'm not sure when I'll come back. Probably February. But yeah, I hope your 2024 is on track for you. I'm still trying to, we're getting good at school, although we took today off for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, because in 1991 on Martin Luther King Jr. Day is when my husband and I started dating. This is when we started dating. So for us, it's a personal holiday too. We're getting into the groove of that, and yeah. So, but the weather, the entire U.S. is just frigid today. Yeah, right now in Minnesota, where I am at, we are, we're 1 above. But it feels, because of wind chill, like it's 18 below zero Fahrenheit. Yeah, and over the next 10 days, a week from today, we might be in the 30s. Yeah, it's cold. It's cold. I will say it's too cold to snow, but we've been getting a lot of wind. Wind is not fun. But hopefully, wherever you're at, joy. And I hear Dallas is frigid. Welcome to my world. But love to you all, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.